This is ADHD Self-Mastery. Customized solutions for your unique brain with Bonnie Mincu, Senior Certified ADHD Coach. If you have traits of ADD or ADHD, you may struggle with getting started on a task or planning a project. Maybe you're easily overwhelmed or perpetually late, miss deadlines, or can't get organized. Bonnie brings you concise, tangible strategies and solutions to help you break through these challenges and accomplish your goals. ADHD Self-Mastery starts now.
Now, here's something I don't think I asked you about at all. Do you have a pretty good, accurate sense of how long it will take you to do something before you do it?
I know how long it'll take me, but
Yeah.
I'm generally pretty good. I will always account for the life, the what ifs, because
life happens.
We
Things
live
get
in-
in the way you weren't expecting.
we live in a tourist town and it is the peak of tourist season. It is Labor Day weekend coming up. Like, it is just, we live in a tourist town. Like, you never know what's going to happen. I could be saying I'm going to run out for 5 minutes and it may be an hour before I get home. Just because something happened across the road. You just have to account for life. So I try to always under promise and over deliver.
Oh, that's good philosophy. Yeah.
So
Yeah. A lot of times I think people overpromise because they don't want to say no. And then they end up disappointing people because they can't possibly deliver everything they promise. So it sort of ends up working against you.
Yeah. And, it's one thing if that happens once, you kind of say stuff happens. Like, we had a death in the family this week. And, I had to say, okay, we had a death in the family, and I just let everybody know. And that's an extenuating circumstance. That doesn't happen all the time. People give you some grace, but that stuff doesn't happen all the time. But if you catch yourself doing stuff all the time, you need to evaluate. And sometimes you got to take a step back and say, okay, what do I got to fix? And you got to fix yourself. But sometimes we're so busy pointing out what's wrong with everybody else, we don't worry about taking care of it, figuring out what we need to do with ourselves.
Well, I think also, at least in a lot of people I encountered that I'm working with on ADHD, a lot of people are suffering from a lot of shame, and that makes them really afraid to, it's not that they're critical of other people. It's almost like they think everyone else is perfect and I'm terrible.
Oh yeah.
But it makes them feel so bad. Well, they feel really bad looking at what they're doing wrong and analyzing it so that they can fix it, because it just makes them feel so bad to look at it in the first place. If you can't look at it, you can't fix it.
I try to be the example of, hey, it's okay to screw up in front of people and just fix it in front of people. So then it's okay and you survive.
It's actually kind of important. I think as a parent, it's important for kids to see you screw up and see how you deal with screwing up, like how you fix it, how do you analyze it.
And that you fail sometimes, like you try stuff and you're not always good at it. And you're not good at it the first time, and you learn and you get better, and it takes practice. And
well, that actually is a big definition in mindset about fixed mindset, people who tend to think I'm either good at it or I'm not. Whereas growth mindset, if it's something you'd like to be good at, you start out, you figure you're not going to be good at it first time. You've got to practice it, get better at it.
I think as adults, I'm not sure where this shift happens. But at some point in our lives, suddenly we start thinking, oh, I'm supposed to be good at things the first time I try them. And I don't know why. Start thinking this, but adults start thinking, oh, why aren't I good if I'm not good at this the first time I try it, I'm not good at it. And I don't know. I see that a lot in adults.
That's what I mean. That's kind of a fixed mindset way of thinking. I think people are, I don't know if it happens suddenly, or if people tend to be of that mindset, or maybe their parents kind of were judgmental that way and that's how they got it. So mindset's a funny thing because we don't know, are people born with it? Are they raised with it? But that is it. reading up on mindset, that's kind of one thing I learned is that's a big difference between fixed mindset people and growth mindset people. Fixed mindset people, there are either winners or losers, and you're either good at it or you're not. It's kind of binary thinking, on or off. There's no continuum. There's no shade of gray there.
The children don't think like that as much.
Mm.
They're willing to try things and not be
Interesting.
great at it the first time.
So you think it's sort of bred out of them? Or
I really think you kind of grow out of it. Like little kids can keep trying stuff and figuring it out. Yeah, it's really interesting to me. I don't know.
So maybe we learn some of our bad habits or bad ways of thinking from adults.
I think it can be unlearned though.
Oh, it absolutely can. But you need to be intentional about unlearning it.
You do. And it's hard because you got to talk yourself through it because nobody else will talk you through it.
Yeah. Have you ever had, when you were leading people, have you ever had people on your team that you then find out have that kind of give up really quickly sort of mindset? And have you had what have you done to bring them along? If you had anyone like that?
I'll take them with me through a day and let them see appointments cancel on me and appointments go bad and see that stuff happens to me too. I would be like, spend the day with me and you'll see the same stuff happens to me that happens to you. I'm not special. I just keep
persistent. You're resilient and persistent.
I'm just doing more. The only difference is I don't do it one time and quit. I understand that I got to account for the things that cancel. So if I know a third of things cancel, I'm going to book 33% more than what I need to, right?
Makes
or
sense.
If I know 50% say no, I'm going to ask twice as many people so that I get the number of yeses I need. I don't ask, so I play the numbers. So I would let them go through a whole day with me and see, hey, this is how it works for me too. I get just as many no's and cancellations as you do. I probably get more, but it's because I'm just talking to more people.
Yeah. Well, I know sales, they always say stressing the numbers, but what you've basically done, and some people might say, wow, well, that's common sense. You analyze what you need to do to get to where you want to go, despite the fact that there are a certain amount of setbacks you can anticipate. And it does take a little bit of analytical thinking there, just a bit.
Taking the emotion out of it's hard, but then they felt better when they saw I got told no to, and that things went wrong for me, and I'd always have, if things canceled, I'd have something in the backup to work on. So I didn't just say, oh, something canceled, so I didn't work. So I have something else to do.
Well, sometimes you must do your very best to get a sale and it still doesn't happen. And maybe you went over the sale in your mind and you said, what could I have done differently or made that more successful?
I'll tell you, I never told you this. So I had this one little customer. I loved her. She was like 150 years old. Like she was precious.
And she's buying cosmetics?
Yeah, she would buy one lipstick from me once every 6 months. And I loved her, but she just wanted somebody to come visit her. And I would go and talk with her for like 3 hours. It probably cost me more in gas to take her that. And we would just visit. And she just wanted somebody to come see her. And that was it. But she had a huge family, like tons of daughters, tons of granddaughters. And she told everybody in town how wonderful I was. And she sent me more business than anybody I ever had. And I made less off. I probably lost money taking her that lipstick. But I really, in the big scheme of things, when you step back, made more. Now, I didn't sit with her because of that. I didn't know when I started going and sitting with her that that's where it was going to lead. I just built a relationship with her. But because of that, she sent me so much business over the years. Wow. I couldn't even tell you how much it ended up making me.
So that would be an important lesson maybe to teach new people on your team, that sometimes being nice turns out to be a good strategic decision.
Yeah, sometimes you just be a good person.
Yeah.
Being a good person helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happened. But then, after children, I could tell a huge difference in my attention span. And that's where.
And you had the children fairly young as well?
Like mid-20s.
Mid-20s. Okay.
Late 20s. I was 26 and 27 when I had them. Late 20s, mid to late 20s.
Okay.
And I thought it was just like postpartum, like pregnancy brain and stuff. And I went to the doctor. I was like, I think I'm like, I guess I was just paying attention to like my attention more. And my doctor's like, no. And I went to church with my doctor also. So he knew me outside of just being my doctor. Like he knew me personally. And he's like, no, you've always been like this. I just think you're paying attention to it more. He started asking me questions and he's like, yeah, I think you're ADD.
Yeah.
And that's when I started getting medicated.
And you were pretty successful before you got on medication.
I was doing really well. I had earned cars, moved into leadership, but I wasn't to that pink Cadillac status. I was doing well, but then once I got medicated, within 6 months, I was in a pink Cadillac.
So you owe your pink Cadillac to Adderall?
Absolutely. Like I went back for my checkup and he's like, how are you doing? Is it working? Can you tell the difference? I was like, heck yeah. Oh my gosh. Like I couldn't believe the difference. And I had just learned habits to to deal with me and how I operate. Like I chew gum all the time. I told you this other day, like I chew gum all the time because I just need to be moving. And you don't ever see that because I get rid of it before we get on a Zoom call out of politeness. But when I'm not on a call with somebody, I always have chewing gum in my mouth. I'm always moving. But he's like, yeah, you're seriously ADD. But I went back for that follow-up and I was like, it was amazing the difference. Because I could sit down and I didn't have 5 tasks going at one time. I could finish one, move to the next.
So you didn't have any downtime. You're very productive, but it sounds like you're saying less multitasks productive, more like sequential, staying focused on one and then another and then another.
I would get more completed. Because before I would start a lot and I would do them all at the same time. It would take me longer to get them done and I would get more finished after that.
Wow.
And it made a huge difference. And then
and you told me some numbers which were amazing. Like how many people were reporting to you before your diagnosis and then after?
I think I went from I had about 60 people on my team and then we went very quickly to over 300.
Yeah. So you had 300 people under you in that organization. And then at some point you moved on to more fundraising for them, right?
I did. I started fundraising with the Mary Kay Foundation and we started hosting Pink in the Park.
Tell us what's Pink in the Park. Pink in
the Park is where, so the Mary Kay Foundation raises money for nonprofits for cancers that affect women, for breast cancer and uterine cancer. And we do events with professional baseball teams. And we just happen to have a baseball team here in Myrtle Beach. We have a AAA team here. So I started hosting that. I just knew somebody that worked there. And I was like, do y'all do that? And they're like, we used to, but we don't have anybody to host it anymore. Are you interested? And I was like, well, I don't know anybody. I've never done it, but I'll call and find out. And I called them and I said, well, who's doing the best one in the country right now? That's who I need to talk to. So I called her and talked to her. And very quickly, we were selling out the ballpark. We were one of the top ones in the country. And then the next thing I know, I'm helping them set it up other places in the country.
Wow.
Our ball team used us as the fundraising event to show other nonprofits how to hold an event. So it just kind of blew up.
So you learned from the best, and then very quickly you were the best.
It was nuts.
It was nuts. It was you.
It was like, but
did you? All right. So let's say you talked to the person who ran the best one initially, and they gave you some advice, like a playbook. Was there anything you changed in that advice they gave you?
Well, I went to her and I asked her, I said, tell me what you did that worked. And I said, tell me what you did that didn't work and save me some time so I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes things sound like a good idea in theory, but then when you try it, it sucks.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to waste my time on that. So she saved me some time there. And she lived in a much bigger city than what I live in. So I took what she said and I went to the ball team and my contact person there. And I said, this is what they're doing. And I think she was doing it with the Cincinnati Red Sox or somebody like that, like a big, like a major league team.
Yeah.
And I said, tell me what y'all do that works and don't work. Let's compare notes. And I did what I was told because these were the people that had done it successfully. And the first year I did what I was told. And then I figured out what worked, what didn't work. And I tweaked it.
Okay. So you looked at what didn't work. You made either notes or mental notes of it.
Oh yeah. I'm very much brief after the fact, what worked, what didn't work, what we could have done better.
Learn more about Bonnie and her Productivity Pathfinder training program for ADHD adults at thrivewithadd.com.